Hey, Columbia, we're back. You're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM. Also online at MakeThePointRadio.com or on your smartphone with the TuneIn app. You're listening to me, Cam, and Corey is sitting across from me.
Yeah, we're a man down tonight.
We are a man down. Chris is in Florida right now. If you're looking for him, that's where you can find him.
We won't tell you what part of Florida.
So, you gonna jump right in, Corey?
May as well, we're here.
All right, so what we wanted to talk about tonight was something we've been reading about in the news and something you've probably heard about yourself. It's called Operation Jade Helm. It's what's it being called in the what's the official terminology for what it is? It's some kind of training exercise with the National Guard. It's in
with actual military, U.S. military.
Is it active military? And it's in 5 states.
It's Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Nevada, and I think maybe Utah, but I can't remember for sure. But it encompasses all of those states, and it's going to be something going on in the streets of America with active U.S. military forces. And
they're patrolling the streets. Something similar just happened in Florida. It was just a few weeks ago. They were doing.
It's actually happened in quite a few places. I mean, Florida, Dallas. It's happened. They've been doing these urban training exercises.
So what exactly do they do?
Any of a number of things. You see a lot of military helicopters overhead, people deploying from helicopters. There was the one that was most recent was they had, I think that was actually Department of Homeland Security that did the more recent one you were referring to in Florida, where they had video of people, I don't know what you call them, basically people that they had captured, and there was video of them marching them in a line into some building or something like that.
Yeah, they had hired actors, they said.
Yeah, I believe that's what it was.
To play like civilians to be captured or whatever.
Right, to be, yeah. So, but this is a, pre-planned mini-state exercise that is, I guess the intention is to simulate some sort of military operation that would theoretically go on somewhere else.
What is the official story?
They haven't really said.
No one's really said. I've heard. I've been following different news sources, and of course, some of them are crazy. Some of them are less crazy.
Yeah, there's of course.
I've heard that it's planning for a natural disaster. I've heard that it's planning for a foreign invasion. It's preparing for a civil war.
Well, so a lot of that's just theory because they're not. Department of Defense is not really say. They're just saying it's a training exercise.
Right.
But they're not giving anything specific as to what they're training for or why or whatnot. So it's, of course, leaving the door open for any of a number of conspiracy, ideas or whatnot.
Right. But are highly entertaining.
Yes, it can be. But it's also just, I mean, to me, at best case scenario, it's just horrifically bad PR on the department on the part of the Department of Defense, because in times where you have had things like the Bundy Ranch standoff and overreaching on the part of Department of Homeland Security, they just announced, Department of Homeland Security just announced another 62 million, I think, rounds of ammo. It was just huge ammo.
Yeah, they're purchasing the standard 223 AR-15
rounds, which, by the way, you don't need to ban firearms and if you can control the supply of ammo.
Exactly. You don't need to. You don't have to actually ban the ammo or the gun if you can just buy all of them before anyone else can.
And that's the thing, that when they do that, whenever a contractor is awarded the bid for those ammo buys, they cannot produce it based on the contract. They cannot produce any ammo for any other reason until they have completed the order.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So that's why you see.
They're not really buying the ammo. They're just taking it off the shelves for however many. It's going to take 3 years. So
they don't take it off the shelves. What happens is whenever this type of thing hits the news. I was in Academy the other day and there was no 5.56, 227 ammo. There was none on the shelf. So what happens is when this kind of stuff hits the news, people go out and buy frantically. Even I can understand if you don't have any, but and then so the people dry up the supply on the shelves, And then the contractors, and there's only a few that actually produce the ammo. So what happens is then they are dedicated to fulfill these contracts, and they can't produce any to put back on the shelves.
So is it? It sounds like we may not see this ammo on shelves for. They say it's going to.
Who knows?
It's 2 to 3 million rounds per month, I think, which would put it at about 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, they set these numbers because they have an idea how long they can tie up capacity, manufacturing capacity.
Right.
But
what do you think? Do you think we're gonna see very, very little of that ammo on the shelves? Do you think it's going to be a scarcity?
It's already happening. I mean, that's already the case. So my advice would be to diversify and make sure you have 7.62 or something like that.
Right.
But the whole it all ties in together. I don't know if you've seen in the news about these random Walmart store closures because of a quote unquote plumbing problem.
Yeah, 5 of them.
6
Walmarts.
Yeah, and one of them was in outside of Tampa. There's been some in Texas, and so
that's where Chris Reilly is right now.
Yeah, that area. So, but here's the thing. I mean, it may not be anything. I mean, Walmart has a tendency to, whenever there's talk of unionization, they'll shut stores down. So it may not be. It really may not be anything.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing when you hear, because there's a few just kind of alarming headlines I've been reading, and then when you throw in the Walmart closures on top of everything, it starts to sound like, is all this related, or is it, maybe it really is a plumbing issue? They're shutting down for 6 months.
Yeah, so they say. Yeah.
All the ones that are shutting down.
They're high capacity WalMarts too. They're not small, little small time Walmart. They're talking about big ones. So it just seems
Walmarts.
odd, But by itself, it wouldn't be odd.
Right.
So. I don't know. We're going to be coming up against a break here in a second, so we can come back to this when we come back. But hopefully our listeners have heard of Posse Comitatus, the Posse Comitatus Act, which is supposed to legally bar U.S. military from being used in a policing capacity within the confines of the United States.
Would that be martial law?
No, martial law is actually different. Martial law just is a suspension of the writ of habeas corpus, but which means that you can be arrested for any reason and indefinitely detained, which that's already been thrown out with NDAA.
Right.
But it is Posse Comitatus just, I can't remember when it passed originally. It's been a while ago, 50, 60 years ago, but it bars the U.S. military from being used as a police force within the confines of the United States. So the question then becomes is assuming that law actually matters anymore, because as far as I can tell, that law and Constitution, everything's been kind of thrown out the window a good while ago. But assuming that matters, does this Jade Helm thing become a violation of that?
Right. A dry run, if you will.
Yeah, either dry run or an actual violation. I mean, so the question is are they going to be used in a policing action? When they perform this operation, are they going to be performing in the capacity of policing action? And in previous operations, there was one in Missouri. They were going door to door with things. So we can talk about that when we come back.
Yeah. Well, you're listening to The Principle, guys, on 95.9 The Point. We'll be right back after this break.
From behind the red in my eyes, no better version of me I could pretend to be tonight. So deep in this will with the most.
The hardest working man in radio.
Hardest working man. I'm the hardest working man in radio.
Kevin Cohen is doing mornings and afternoons on The Point.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom333.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom333.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 333.com. Go to freedom333.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom333.com.
We all know healthcare has changed drastically. It's quite the puzzle to sort through your options and find a health insurance plan that's affordable and maximizes your benefits. And you're now required by law to have health insurance, or you may pay a tax penalty. So let the Health Markets Insurance Agency help you. They offer plans from over 120 different companies and can even help you obtain government subsidies. Let them do all the research for you and show you how affordable health insurance can be, a service that's at no extra cost to you. Call now and learn your options to find affordable health insurance. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325, 800-980-9325, 800-980-9325. Health Markets Insurance Agency is a DBA or assumed name of Inspire Insurance Solutions, Inc., which is a licensed insurance agency in all 50 states and D.C. Not all agents are licensed to sell all products. Service availability varies by state.
Today might be the day I drop out of school. Today could be the last day I try. My parents alone can't stop me. My friends can't even stop me. But you might be able to. With United Way, you could tutor me, be my mentor, or volunteer to just read with me. If someone had helped me earlier, I might not be struggling. And studies prove that kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. There are tons of ways people like you can help kids like me stay in school. And United Way is calling for you to be one of them. Because it takes 12 years to create a graduate. It takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between me becoming one or the other could be you. Make me a success, not a statistic.
Take the pledge to volunteer now at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Columbia's local talk radio experience. This is The Point. 95.9 FM and 1470 AM.
And we're back. You're listening to The Principal here on 95.9 The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM, or on MakeThePointRadio.com if you're out of state. The number, if you want to call in, is 803-799-TALK. That's 803-799-8255. And the discussion is, right now, Jade Helm.
Yeah, we'd really like to hear what everyone has to say about it.
Me too. I want to, because these sort of headlines and these operations kind of make me feel uneasy. So I'd like to hear if other people feel the same way I do, or if they, do people think this is for our safety? I'm sure some people think this is for our safety. It just makes me feel uneasy.
To me, it seems completely unnecessary.
Right. The video I saw, I meant to say this earlier. The video, the first one I saw was the one in Florida, and you said that was DHS.
I think
it was these big like armed black military choppers, like landing and picking up right beside the interstate as like civilians are driving by.
Yeah, downtown buildings.
Right,
and,
and these troops are marching in line, like sprinting through intersections and stuff. And this is like in America. It's kind of it's disconcerting to see this kind of happening, like where we live, you know.
Well, it's also just conditioning. I mean, why should we accept this type of thing?
Right. That brings me to the next one I saw, which was entire. I guess it was a platoon. It was these grids of soldiers. They were probably 8 deep and about 12 long, or whatever the formation was, and there were blocks of them. Like they were probably 200 soldiers altogether. They took up the entire street.
Yeah, in Southern California.
Yeah,
that was National Guard that was marching through like a main street, and so fully armed National Guard
in a neighborhood, like
right.
in a residential neighborhood.
Right. Yeah. So, what
rifles in hand?
So when you think about the historical context of this, I mean, the invasion of Normandy was performed without any need to have training exercises anywhere outside of military bases on U.S. soil. So now all of a sudden I'm supposed to believe that they just need to train people in and amongst civilians?
No, I think it's obvious that they're training for something here. on our turf. I mean, that much is obvious.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I had a close friend that used to work for the Senate Armed Services Committee, and he was saying that all of the internal polling showed that the U.S. military breaks down into about 3 categories. When asked, would you fire on American civilians? The first category was people that, absolutely not, and would go AWOL if given the order to. The second group was basically said, depends on circumstances, maybe so, maybe not. And then the third group was, I would follow orders.
Right.
So, you would have to expect that at least 1/3 of the U.S. military, whatever branch it may be, if given orders, would turn on American people. So it's one of these things where, regardless of what the intention is, it should be cause for not necessarily alarm, but concern. Yeah, we shouldn't be accepting this type of thing. And people say, well, what should you do about it? You should get the word out. You should make sure that people know that this is going on, and be willing to point out that it shouldn't be happening. If you really want something direct to do, why you should be calling and wanting to know why your local. So if you know that it's planned in your community, then you should be calling the local mayor or sheriff or whoever and saying, why is this going on, demanding answers and expecting answers, protesting, whatever, something to bring awareness to this. But we shouldn't be accepting this on U.S. soil. So I looked up, the Posse Comitatus was actually it signed June 18th, 1878 by President Hayes. And it was in concert with the Insurrection Act. It was to limit the powers of the federal government in using its military personnel to act as domestic law enforcement personnel.
And how long did that stand?
It still stands. Well, arguably. I mean, they don't actually abide by it, but so understand that under Posse Comitatus, you could have National Guard assisting with hurricane relief or whatever, unarmed, not acting in a policing, not in a police capacity. Because there's been times in American history where the U.S. military is used against its own people. Whiskey Rebellion was one example.
The Whiskey Rebellion. Can you explain that? A brief summary.
So that was a tax on liquor that people were up in arms about.
50% tax.
And I believe it was the huge kind of insurrection resulted, and the U.S. military was deployed to volunteer.
Washington led.
Yeah, Washington led the troops.
Troops that had just a few years ago stood up against the British for a 2% tax on tea. Washington then instates, or Congress, I guess, instates a 50% tax on all whiskey.
Right.
And of course, this caused a lot of anger within the country, and then.
But ironically, now they tax 50% of your income, and everybody's that's just part of being in society.
What Washington did was he literally led troops to these towns to collect the money at gunpoint.
Yeah. So
George Washington.
Yeah, you're everybody's hero.
Everybody's favorite.
So that's the thing. I mean, I have a tendency to have a kind of a preference for Thomas Jefferson. But even he signed, when he was president, he signed into law.
He signed a piece of paper giving himself the power to steal from you. At the end of the day, that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm very hesitant about putting anyone on a pedestal. I mean, no one, and people hold. I don't want to get off too much on a tangent, but people hold our founding fathers in so much reverence. No, they were human beings, and they did. I mean, when you look at just going from the Articles of Confederation to the Constitution, they eliminated more freedom with the Constitution.
Right.
So even that, I mean, that was a coup. But anyway, so the whole, you kind of trying to bring it back to what we were originally talking about with the Jade Helm exercises, that I think a lot of people would say it's not a violation of Posse Comitatus unless they're using the U.S. military in a policing action. If they're policing.
For me, it doesn't make that much of a difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's semantics.
You still have hundreds of people with rifles marching up and down the streets.
Yeah.
And if any other group organized into this, there would be an outcry. Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America would be posting all over Facebook about let's take these people's guns away, but these people are allowed.
Oh yeah, the people that want gun control, they don't want to. They only want to control your guns and my guns. They military, police, government agents, they're okay. They should all have guns because who else is going to take the guns from everybody? I mean, it's just ridiculous logic.
Who should take whose guns? That's a fun question.
Right. Yeah,
who should point the gun at who?
They're not anti-gun. They're pro-state.
Right.
That's all it is. They just want the state to have the power and no one else.
Right.
But so you said if any other people in this capacity, there was a very, very small example of this. I can't remember which town it was. There was a town in Texas where basically Black Panthers in a community organized and were carrying firearms in the streets to help protect their neighborhood.
I'm all about that.
I am too. And there was a big hullabaloo about that. A lot of people, this is wrong. Why? I mean, that's them protecting their own property.
No, see, the difference is when civilians do it, it's a threat. It's threatening. It makes me feel uneasy, unsafe. But when government agents do it, it makes you feel safer.
People who have a history of killing, like that. It's the same thing with Iran shouldn't have a nuclear weapon, when the United States is the only government that's actually nuked anybody
twice.
Yeah. So who's more of a threat, arguably?
Right.
I mean,
historically speaking,
who's more of a threat? So it's hypocrisy. What it is people have been so. I hate to use the term brainwashed because
we use it a lot.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it's overused, but
conditioned.
When you look at the news, we'll say, there is not any mainstream media outlet that actually speaks out against the actions of the state with any regularity. They may speak out against
they'll speak out against the Democrats or against the Republicans, but
and they'll speak out against small things. They'll say
something that's obviously like horribly wrong, an injustice of sorts, but none of the systemic injustice that
in this
inherent.
Day and age, it doesn't matter if it's CNN or Fox. They're never going to be critical of the military and anything the military is doing. Not really, not for any sustained amount. They might say, well, this little thing right here maybe should.
Yeah, and this happened, and these four are wrong.
Right. But they're not going to with any consistency. So you're not going to hear that side of it. You're not going to hear anybody saying, "Wait a minute, it's just flat out wrong," and the military shouldn't be used in this capacity within the confines of the United States. They're going to try to explain it away. So basically, like I say, brainwashed, propagandized, whatever. You're not. If all you do is consume from the fire hose that is the propaganda wing of the U.S. government, you're not going to hear anything that's really and truly in opposition to anything the U.S. government does.
Right.
You're only going to hear things that are in favor of it, and it's time that stops. Because look at where it's gotten us.
Yeah.
Look at where we are so much less free today. That's another thing that drives me crazy. And I know we've talked about this on the show. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but everybody says the U.S. military is fighting for our freedom.
Then why do we become less free?
Why am I less free? I mean, there's more regulations. There's more taxes. There's more restrictions on what I can and can't do. Obama even signed an executive order recently that said that if you're saying certain things online, they can consider you a terrorist and whatever. Mm-hmm. It's not
that definition of terrorist is getting looser and looser, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You don't actually have to be violent or anymore, or even threaten violence. You just have to.
You just have to be critical of the state.
It seems like you just have to be.
And don't kid yourself. If you're one of these people who think it's Obama, you're.
It's not just Obama, right?
No, it's both sides of the coin.
Right. All right, folks, you're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point. If you want to call during the break, the number is 803-799-8255. We'll be right back after this.
WQXL Columbia, W240 AM, WTQS Canberra, Columbia's local talk radio experience. The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM, 1490 AM Orangeburg.
Investigators are looking into the death of a man who was injured while in Baltimore police custody. He died today, a week after he was stopped by officers.
Do you know why your parents?
A 13-year-old Maryland boy called 911 when he realized he and his sister were trapped in their home by a fire. He helped to guide firefighters to their location. It was 20 years ago today that 168 people died in the bombing of the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. President Obama expressed his condolences to the families. Former President Bill Clinton was in Oklahoma City for today's services. A massive search is underway off the coast of Libya, where a smuggler's boat that is possibly carrying hundreds of migrants capsized. Only 28 survivors and 24 bodies have been pulled from the water by nightfall. Bobby Brown says his daughter, Bobby Christina Brown, is awake and responsive. 3 months after she was found face down in a bathtub, Bobby Christina is the only child he has with the late Whitney Houston. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our Better Business Bureau A-rated team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Call now for a free case review and a low price guaranteed quote to get you protected today. Call now, 800-881-9393. That's 800-881-9393. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-881-9393.
Okay, let's say your business does $5,000, $20,000, $100,000 or more in monthly revenue. There are probably times when you need more cash flow to run your business, right? Right. If you're a business owner in this situation, you need to call the Merchant Cash Advance line right now. We're not a bank and we don't have bank rules. We're a direct lender with the power to approve deals. We look at your business and we decide how much money to lend you, good credit or bad credit. If your business is solid, we can lend you up to $500,000. You can use the money for anything you think is right to run your business. If you need money and you don't want to deal with a bank, call now. Learn how easy it is to get up to $500,000 in as little as 2 to 3 days.
Call now, 800-760-5081. 800-760-5081. 800-760-5081. That's 800-760-5081.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM, and MakeThePointRadio.com.
And we're back. You're listening to The Principal here on The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM, or MakeThePointRadio.com. The number, if you want to call in and join this discussion, and you can call and talk to us if you like what we're saying. If you don't like what we're saying, you can call in and tell us what you think. You can have a conversation with us like a human being. The number is 803-799-8255. That was the lead up for me getting out the number, is what that's what that was. 803-799-TALK. That's 803-799-8255.
If you have something else, just we
if you want to change the subject,
open topic policy.
Yeah.
We were talking about before the break how one other thing before I jump back into it. There's only 2 of us tonight, so if you're intimidated in the past by there being many of us and you don't want to be ganged up on, like we said last week, you can call in and pick on one of us if you want, and
right.
the other one will stay out of it and You know, so we
let you duke it out.
I really would like to hear more opposing views as to what we're saying.
I'd like to hear all views personally, whether people agree or disagree. I'd like to hear just what people are thinking. I feel like I'm talking to myself on this thing sometimes.
You're talking to me. I'm listening. At least me, right?
Okay, there's 3 people in here, so there's at least 2 listeners right now.
So we were talking about before the break how everybody says the military's fighting for our freedom, and somehow magically we're still less free.
Right.
And I don't. To me, that's very indicative of a population that doesn't think past what they're fed.
Right.
Because in all practical circumstances, I mean, consider that other than things like the Whiskey Rebellion and all, there hasn't been an occurrence in history where a massive military training exercise was conducted across a 5 to 6 state area in the United States in and amongst the civilian population. If that doesn't tell you that you're less free, then nothing will. But I mean, consider just the tax code, just the how many additional laws there are every year that are passed, and for anyone, for anyone to actually try to tell me that you're not less free is naive. And last I checked, military's kind of been fighting for, what are we talking now, at least the last 14 years. There's been some type of major military action going on pretty much.
Actually, we've been involved, or the military's been involved in some sort of conflict overseas for the past 200 years straight.
Sure, but it's really been ramped up. I mean, active invasion.
For the past 2 decades.
Yeah,
it's
at least. And so if the military's fighting for freedom, and they've been fighting that much,
we should have seen like a freedom explosion.
Either they're horribly incompetent or they're not really fighting for our freedom.
Right.
So I, for one, am kind of tired of hearing that. So just like we talked about last week when we were talking about cops, I think that most people that go into the military go into it with good intentions. They really mean well, but once you get in the system, you become part of the hamburger meat. You're kind of ground up and homogenized with the system, and then you have to do what the system directs. And so it's not. My intention is not to disparage any individuals, but the system itself is set up to make us less free. It's set up to keep certain people more wealthy. Eisenhower, in his exit address, warned about the proliferation of the military-industrial complex, and we're seeing the effects of that now. So,
Kennedy promised to expose a plot to, quote, enslave every man, woman, and child in America, and then he was assassinated 7 days later.
So it worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you wonder. I mean, everybody. The other thing I feel the need to point out in the context of discussing this Jade Helm thing is that if you look it up, you'll find that the term or the phrase conspiracy theory or conspiracy theorist was created by the CIA. That's not a conspiracy theory itself. That's actually been claimed.
Was that was created during all the 9/11?
No, it was before that.
Was it before that?
Yeah,
I thought it was. Okay.
But that's not something they deny, and you have to wonder what the intent is with that, if not to tar and feather anyone who doesn't accept the mainstream story.
Right.
You and I were talking about it before the show that I'm not a conspiracy theorist in that I say, this thing happened and it happened because this group of people got together and made it happen.
Right. I don't have theories per se.
Right.
But people call me a conspiracy theorist just because I don't buy the official story.
And that's the whole point. And that's why I bring it up.
I don't buy the official story from an entity, i.e. the U.S. government, who has a history of lying time and time and time again to its own people, to its allies and enemies abroad.
Yes.
So to not trust what the U.S. government says nowadays is just what the CIA would call blowback.
Yeah, well, if you trust it, you're a naive fool. I mean, the NSA director sat there in front of Congress and said, "We don't do any bulk collection." What? Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, bold-faced lie. And I'm going to believe. I would be a moron to believe.
Right.
George Carlin. He says my first rule is I don't believe anything the government says.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. Why would I? There's so much incentive to lie.
Right.
Follow the money. So
yeah, who profits is always the question to ask yourself.
Yeah, and when they aren't saying anything, in the case of this Jade Helm situation,
right? That is interesting. They're not even lying about it yet.
Not yet. So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to me to be something that they're trying to benefit us with.
Right.
Why do
you say that?
This Jade Helm exercise is not something they're doing to benefit us. Otherwise, they would be telling us why they're doing it to benefit us.
Oh, for the children or whatever.
For the children, because we need roads or whatever.
I'm actually hoping they pass one giant new bill just to restrict all freedom. I think maybe we could these gun trade-in programs. I was thinking about hand trade-in programs where if you have hands,
so you wouldn't have thieves.
You just or any you can't harm anyone. You can just walk to your nearest police station and they'll chop off both of your hands and they'll give you like $400.
Yeah.
That way you can no longer hurt anybody.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
But that's how you fix things.
But this should all be part of for the children bill. It'll be the FTCA. And it'll just be one all-encompassing freedom restriction bill to get rid of, the guns, get rid of
they should stitch your mouth
swimming
shut
pools,
too, and give a feeding tube.
Take off your hands, and just go ahead and take care of the whole thing for the children.
Just one more law, and freedom will be perfected.
Yes, we're getting really close.
Yeah,
I can feel it. We're getting really close to freedom. Yeah.
I know you and I have talked about it off air and all, but I just don't generally have a good feeling about things overall. I can't put my finger on it. I've had that feeling in the past, so I don't. A lot of times I chalk it up to just my head.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, I try to avoid reading a lot of stuff, more alarmist type things.
Right. The Blaze and Alex Jones and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I try to steer away from that because that stuff would just get you. It's all alarmism and but even avoiding all of that kind of stuff, I don't have a good feeling about a lot of this. When I see, and when you look at police violence as escalating, and thankfully people are getting to a point where they're not tolerating it as much anymore. And I saw there was a video. Oh gosh, there was a video of a woman like in California, I think, where she's screaming because they're beating this homeless guy. It's like 5 cops on one homeless guy.
I saw that. I was so happy. Yeah, she was like, why do both of you have your weapons out? You don't both need to have your weapons out. Okay. It doesn't take 6 of you to jump on him, right. And yeah.
So it used to be people standing around with their hands in their pockets.
Yeah.
Or the hand. Then it went to people standing around the camera. Mm. Now it's moving towards
people with cameras actually vocally resisting.
So the next step is going to be people actively resisting, and whether you like it or not, that's going to escalate things. Personally, I think
the
people
system
should be
is
defending
being
themselves.
The whole system is being antagonized.
Yes.
People are being pushed.
Yes.
And I agree. I don't think people are going to stand for it much longer.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I mean, I've been wrong before. I would never put a timestamp on anything.
Yeah.
But when I see things like this Jade Helm situation going on, and now understand that this ammo purchase that we talked about earlier, that's just one of they've done this 3 or 4 or 5 times already in the last few years. So where's it headed?
Yeah. All right, folks, you're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
That's because we can't afford a network affiliate.
Kevin Cohen does mornings and afternoons on The Point.
Place has been the Midland's premier destination for new and pre-owned office furniture. The Office Place is a full-service dealership, providing layout, design, installation, and service after the sale. So, If you're in the market for office furniture, look them up at officeplace.net. Give them a call at 803-799-3375 or head over to 301C Greystone Boulevard here in Columbia, South Carolina.
Avoid bankruptcy. Does credit card debt have you living paycheck to paycheck? Are you making minimum payments but only falling further behind? Then here's good news you'll love. Call the Mediator Law Group to find out more about our debt reduction program. Guaranteed to settle your credit card debt or you don't pay. That's right. We'll find the absolute best debt reduction solution for you or you pay nothing. It's called Pay for Performance, and you won't pay a dime until the job's done. That's right. No upfront fee, no monthly fees, nada. You pay nothing until after your account is settled. No other law firm does that. I'm a paid spokesperson, not a lawyer, and every case is different. But if you owe $10,000, $30,000, or even $50,000 in credit card debt, call the Mediator Law Group to learn about our new Pay for Performance program. Appointment times are limited, so call 800-822-5020 and find the relief from credit card debt that you so desperately need with the full weight of our law group behind you. 800-822-5020. 800-822-5020.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today?
The only thing I didn't learn?
Is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
Join Pal's Pack for as little as $10 a month and support Palmetto-assisted animal life services. Donations support programs that teach dogs amazing skills. PALS trained dogs can help work as someone's hands and feet after they have suffered a spinal cord injury. And they can even help local veterans battle post-traumatic stress disorder. Get special inspirational gifts when you sign up for the PALS Pack monthly giving program today. It's easy. Just visit pals.org.
Columbia's local talk radio experience. This is The Point. 95.9 FM and 1470 AM.
And we're back. Hello, you're listening to The Principal on 95. I didn't mean to say hello like that.
Hello.
You're listening to The Principal on 95.9 The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM, and online at MakeThePointRadio.com. And the number, if you'd like to call us, is 803-799-8255, 799-TALK. We'll put you on the air. The whole world, really, if anyone in another country has heard of this station, can listen to you talk. What are you thinking about? What are you thinking about, Corey?
I was trying to figure out where you were going with that.
I'm sorry. Thanks for clarifying.
And I was thinking about our producer was saying that that the CMAs are going on right now. So turn that off.
Yeah.
Turn on your radio. There's much better content than
whoever the CMAs picked to win.
Pop music.
It's pop. Let's be honest. Country music is pop.
I know. I listen to it. It's catchy, you know.
Yeah.
But
have you seen that video where they took like 8 top 10 country songs and put them all together, and it's the exact same song.
It's over and over in the same.
And it's actually a pretty catchy mashup.
Yeah, it actually sounds kind of good. It's interesting.
Yeah.
There was one of some radio station out in Texas that's like an alternative music radio station, and they were talking about country music, and they were saying that there's certain things that you have to say, like you got to talk about trucks.
You got to talk about dirt roads, muscadine wine, Jack Daniels,
beer, muscadine, and girls, and then they start playing a country song, and it's "Hey Girl," you know, and that's how it starts off, and he's talking about all kind, you know, like going down the river, catching catfish dinner, and he's, what kind of woman wants to get in a rowboat, go down and get all hot and sweaty, and eat some cat? You know, it's just funny.
A good woman, in my opinion.
I agree. That's the kind of woman I want. But
so, anyways, Back to the fun stuff. Jade Helm. Are we still on Jade Helm?
Yeah, I guess we are. I mean, I really would like to hear what other people's thoughts are on this, because it's truly an unprecedented situation.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen this sort of military presence in suburban civilian America.
Well, I mean, think about this. With Waco, the ATF and the FBI used a military base to train, to prepare for the invasion of the Branch Davidian compound. Like, they didn't even use civilian. Didn't even do that. What they actually did was on civilian property, but they didn't even have the gall to go plan
in the streets.
Right.
So you don't think it's for domestic training then? Because I'll tell you what I think. I'll just come out and say it. I think the whole thing is desensitization. I think it's to get civilians more accustomed to seeing a military presence at their doorstep.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree 110% with that. And which is more the reason to not be okay with it. Which is more the reason to make sure other people are not okay with it. I
don't think it's any more sinister than that. Honestly, it could be, but I
don't know. I would say I think it's potentially preparation for something else that could be sinister. I'm not saying that will happen, but I just don't trust it. I don't.
Well, look who it's coming from.
But here's the thing, though. Here's now. Let's play devil's advocate with ourselves, since nobody's called in and played it.
Yeah. Who's going to be the devil?
I'm going to be the devil.
Okay.
You're going to be the advocate.
Okay.
Anyway, when you look at Katrina, that was not U.S. military, but it was National Guard. During Katrina, they sent armed National Guard in and went door to door and disarmed people.
Disarmed people?
Yes.
Why?
For their safety.
Right.
In essence, what they said.
Right.
But that was what
happened.
We
need to stop disarming, because we can stop it just dishanding.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but no, I mean, taking away people's guns. They did that during Katrina. So
I didn't know that. That's really weird.
Yeah, there was huge lawsuits because they confiscated people's firearms that they didn't.
And how did they do this? They went into people's houses.
Yeah. There's if you search it online, there was a news crew did a story on it, and there was like a little old lady was one of the people that she had like a 38 or something. She was in her house,
as any old lady should.
Yeah, especially when you have what was going on down there,
right.
And they came into her house and forcibly disarmed her because she wasn't going to give up her gun. Granny wasn't going to give up her gun. I know people that.
So let's not to get too sexual with the audience, but let's take the clothes off of each party here.
Oh my gosh!
And imagine if it was a little old lady in a post emergency situation, and people come to her house and say, "Give me your gun." What she normally would do is defend herself.
Right.
If someone just comes to your doorstep and says, "Hey, I want your guns," exactly. So, and this what I'm trying to get at is this is how the police and the military make an enemy out of a perfectly fine citizen. What they do is they break into your home. That's what they do. They don't have orders to kill you. They have orders, whether it's the police or the military, whether it's the police here or the military overseas, or hopefully not the military here. They have orders to go into your house and abduct you. They just want to talk. They just want to bring you out in handcuffs so you can go and have your day in court. Mm-hmm. But if you try to defend yourself
by the time you go to court,
right? And I mean, if you don't have the money, you're going to be sitting there for 3 years until you even. I mean, you're going to. Right. It's not a good system. That's a different show. Anyways. But what happens if you try to defend yourself against this, then you're going to die now.
You're a terrorist.
Yeah, you're a terrorist. And then if you're defending yourself, obviously, what do you think? Being a non-aggressionist, if someone is breaking into your home not without the intent of killing you, just to rob you, say, and you defend yourself, you use lethal force to
attempt to. How do I know what their intent is?
You don't, but I'm saying.
There you go.
But
That's what I think.
What I'm saying is the intruder. Do you think the intruder is warranted to use retaliatory self-defense?
Okay, so if someone breaks into my home and I defend myself against them, are they warranted in defending themselves against my defense?
Right.
No. Because you break into my home, you're
they
on
should
private
just
property.
leave, right?
Yeah, you should leave. If you don't like being shot at,
Okay.
if you don't like being shot at, number one, don't break in my house.
Right.
Because if you break in my house, you're going to get shot. You're going to get shot.
Right.
If you don't like that, then don't break into my house.
Right.
Don't break into my house without a warrant, without whatever, and say, but we're accepted because we are wearing a different costume.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. It's still my property.
Right.
Period. Right. But my point with this, to bring it back to the Jade Helm thing. So, all right, one thing real quick, because you said a term that I don't know that our listeners are familiar with, and you said a non-aggressionist.
We have 2 minutes to explain that. Do you want to come back to it?
Let's come back.
We'll come back to that.
So let me bring it back to my point. Was to be devil's advocate. The U.S. military doesn't need to train on our soil in order to be deployed against us, because the National Guard, which is not technically, one of the 4 branches of the armed services, they already been used against us. So why would they need to train to do that?
I see what you're saying.
So that's kind of my.
Are you saying that? Just to see if I'm following here. Are you saying that posse comitatus doesn't cover the National Guard?
Right.
Really?
I guess I don't really know the nuances of the law, and I don't really care what.
Assuming it even matters, right?
Yeah, it's because they ignore it at will.
What was it? Something I was reading about, something Congress granted itself the power to do so many years ago. I forget. But anyways,
I don't know. They granted themselves the power to send Secret Service to Colombia and rape people.
Basically, yeah.
That sounds juvenile, but that's. Is it really? I mean,
all they have to do is write it on paper, sign it, and they can do it now with guns,
right?
And you can't stop them.
And people will defend them and kill you
and they'll
if
say,
you try to stop them.
Yeah.
It's completely insanity to me. And
I enjoyed my own personal violations because it was my duty to the greater good or whatever.
Right, but you look at like Ruby Ridge. I mean, not Ruby Ridge. Kent State. There's been plenty of occurrences where the National Guard, where the Guard has been used against the people.
So as long as it's not the Army or whatever, then it's quote legal.
Right. I mean,
which means it's okay. Which means it's good at that point.
Yeah. So that's another thing. Legal.
Yeah.
Does not equal good or moral.
Right.
And illegal does not equal
bad or immoral. Right. I completely agree with that statement.
It's what now I'm talking about legislatively legal. I'm not talking about. Chris likes to use the term legal and illegal referring to common law.
Right.
And I always try to clarify that because I think our listeners don't think that way. They think illegal versus illegal is whatever the government says it is.
Right. Okay, guys, when we come back, this is the big break, so we'll be gone for a few minutes here. We'll come right back, and we're going to talk about non-aggressionism.
Working harder so you don't have to.
That's great. Here comes the C&D from Johnson & Johnson.
Kevin Cohen, mornings and afternoons on The Point.
Hi, it's Practical Polly's radio show. If you're just figuring out that healthier cooking oils are better than solid fats, you may be asking, now what am I going to do with all these tubs of lard? Ever had one of those moments when your favorite skinny jeans feel too tightly tailored? Generously apply lard to your hips and thighs and those fancy pants will slide on like a dream. Or here's a family-friendly idea. How about making your yard into a lard fun park? Frost your driveway with a nice thick coating and give those kiddos a downhill thrill no matter what time of year. Having a bad hair day? Yep. A little lump of lard can tame your flyaways in a jiffy. So there's no need for that lard to go to waste or to your waste. But get your best heart-healthy trade-up with healthier oils like canola, olive, or other vegetable oils, which can actually lower your chances for heart disease. Now that's a tip worth keeping for life. Learn more at heart.org/FaceTheFats. Canola Info is the national supporter of the American Heart Association's Face the Fats campaign.
WQXL Columbia, W240 AM, WTQS Cameron. Columbia's local talk radio experience. The Point. 95.9 FM, 1480 AM.
From ABC News. I'm Daria Albinger, and we have breaking news out of Minneapolis and San Diego, where the FBI says it's arrested multiple people as part of a nationwide terrorism probe. This comes, the FBI says, as authorities have been trying to zero in on people inside the United States who have been recruiting Americans to join ISIS overseas. Authorities are stressing at this point there is no threat to the American public, and more information is expected to be released tomorrow. Again, the FBI says it's arrested multiple people in Minneapolis and San Diego as part of a nationwide crackdown on terrorism. A frantic search is underway off the coast of Libya for a ship which may have capsized and carrying hundreds of migrants.
Italy's Navy and Coast Guard are searching for hundreds of migrants missing in the Mediterranean Sea after their small vessel capsized off the coast of Libya. Italian authorities say just 28 survivors have been rescued, but hundreds more are feared dead. One survivor saying as many as 950 people were on board. If fears are confirmed, it would be the deadliest migrant disaster recorded in the Mediterranean. Alex Marquardt, ABC News, Palermo, Sicily.
Before 9/11, it was the worst attack on U.S. soil. Today, 20 years later, Oklahoma City remembers the Murrah Federal Building bombing.
The devastation was hard to comprehend. 168 killed, 680 injured, and another 324 buildings damaged or destroyed. Until 9/11, it was the deadliest terror attack in U.S. history, this time committed by Americans. Anti-government extremist Timothy McVeigh executed for the crime, and Terry Nichols still serving a life sentence.
That's ABC's Neil Karlinski in Oklahoma City. The mayor of Baltimore calling for an investigation into the death of a man who had been seriously injured while he was arrested. You're listening to ABC News.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-643-4592 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-643-4592 to take your call now. Call 1-800-643-4592. That's 1-800-643-4592. Again, 1-800-643-4592.
Singer Bobby Brown says his daughter Bobby Christina Brown is awake nearly 3 months after she was found face down and unresponsive in a tub in her Georgia home. In a video, Brown told the crowd during a concert appearance in Dallas that Bobby is awake and adding that, in his words, she is watching me. The 21-year-old is the only daughter of Brown and the late Whitney Houston. A growing number of Canadians are opposed to an anti-terrorism bill that would give people and intelligence agents greater powers.
They don't trust them. Protesters like Doug Johnston took to the streets in cities from Halifax to Vancouver to denounce Bill C-51. Critics say it's so vaguely worded that it could be used against legitimate environmental and Aboriginal protesters, not just terrorists. A recent poll showed support for the bill has fallen from a high of 70% last November to 50% now. But with its majority in Parliament, the government will have no trouble passing the bill into law later this week. Danielle Capelli, ABC News, Toronto.
President Obama is wrapping up a leisurely weekend with his family. The president, the first lady, and daughters Malia and Sasha took a walk today along trails just outside Washington at Great Falls Park in Virginia. The 50-minute trek along wooded trails concluded as a light drizzle began to fall. The president spent his Saturday afternoon playing golf at Joint Base Andrews. This is ABC News.
You're running your business. And we at Wix.com know things can get stressful, but creating your website doesn't have to be. With Wix, you can create a professional website all by yourself. It's easy and free. You don't have to be a programmer. Just drag and drop everything into place. It's your website, your style. Show the world what you can do. Go to Wix.com and create your own stunning website today. It's easy and free.
Daria Albinger, ABC News.
Hi, this is Jennifer Coolidge.
The American Heart Association says the disco song Stayin' Alive is the near-perfect beat for hands-only CPR. If you see a teen or adult collapse from cardiac arrest, you only need 2 steps to help save a life. Call 911 and push hard and fast in the center of the chest to the beat of the song Stayin' Alive. Disco is back and it's saving lives. To learn more, go to heart.org/hands-only-CPR.
Nationally supported by the WellPoint Foundation.
The Point, 95.9 FM and 1470 AM.
And we're back. Our producer played this lame song for us to come back to. Oh, by the way, guys, if you're a regular listener of The Point of 95.9, you may like to know that our producer tonight is Kevin Cohen himself. Say hey, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
So, you're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point. If you want to call in, the number is 803-799-TALK. That's 803-799-8255. You can say hey to Kevin if you want. Corey, we were talking about...
Non-aggression principle?
Non-aggression, yeah.
I wanted first
the
of all
NAP.
Say, I think Thomas is out there listening, and I wanted to thank him for listening to us.
What's Thomas like?
He's a good kid.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a good kid.
He sounds like one.
He's a cool kid.
Yeah.
Anyway, non-aggression principle. I guess the best
Where
way
to begin?
Yeah, I know. So, in essence, non-aggression principle is a philosophy that a lot of people feel that in order to have a workable society, people should choose to apply the non-aggression principle in life. And the gist of it is that the initiation of force, coercion, and violence is never acceptable.
Mm-hmm. So if you basically you can only use violence or theft or immoral things like that as retaliation to...
No, not necessarily.
I mean, if someone breaks into your home, you're...
So think of it this way. There's two sides of it. So pacifism, someone who's a pacifist thinks that no violence anytime ever.
Right.
Okay? So you can't initiate it, and you can't respond in kind. You're supposed to turn the other cheek. Non-aggression principle just eliminates one of those options. It's never okay to initiate violence. But it is always okay to use violence to defend yourself, defend your family, defend your property. A lot of people, if you are a person who believes in the non-aggression principle, the NAP, N-A-P is what people say for short. If you're a person who subscribes to the NAP, or you're a pacifist, no, believe me. I personally believe in the NAP, but I will kill you if you break into my home. That's just all there is to it. Mm-hmm. It's not pacifism. It's not okay to steal. It's not okay to initiate violence and force against people who haven't done anything to you.
So to clarify, when you say initiating aggression, that would be literally the equivalent of starting the fight.
Yeah, throwing the first punch, pulling the trigger first.
So as long as no one throws that first punch, theoretically, then
but it applies to coercion and things too. So to lie, to sucker someone into a contract that is deceptive, for instance, that would be
fraud.
A form of an aggression. Yeah, fraud would be a form of aggression.
Basically, any act that isn't voluntary and or consensual with the other party.
Right. So, but it is okay to defend yourself by whatever means necessary. So it's not pacifism. All right, for some reason this example pops into my head. So you remember up in New York those two cops that some guy just kind of seemingly random shot them.
Yeah,
that would be a violation of the NAP.
Right, obviously, because they weren't actively. You may feel philosophically that you don't like what cops are doing, and you're just angry and you're trying to penalize them. But that's still a violation of the NAP. You don't have a right to go out, even if you think that those people generally may be doing something, unless they're doing it to you, your loved ones, or your property, your friends, and you currently, like actively, you don't have
a right to initiate violence and force against people. And personally, I think it's kind of the application of the golden rule in a lot of ways. You know, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And I think it's a good philosophy to live by. So
yeah, and this is where several other philosophies, the non-aggression principle, or the NAP, or the NAP, and you see this. I see this probably because of my network, but I see the NAP, the NAP, abbreviated on Facebook all the time. But this is an axiom that from the NAP stem voluntarism, libertarianism, other philosophical anarcho-capitalism, yeah. They all sort of stem from this one basic principle, which is don't mess with people, basically.
Don't initiate force and violence. I mean, when you look at what the state is the embodiment of it, is just the very essence of force and violence.
It's from the ground up. It's funded by taxation, which is theft. It's legal theft. It's not moral theft, but it's legal.
Legislatively legal, yeah, not common law legal, but yeah, legislatively legal. They've given themselves the power to steal. When you there's a video.
Larkin Rose, is that the one you're talking about? Larkin Rose, his video, he says, okay, so I have the right to steal from you. He's like, no, you don't agree with that? Okay, well, I'm going to write it on a piece of paper, and he holds it up, and he's like, okay, no, you still don't? Okay, well, me and 12 of my other friends all agreed that I have the right to steal from you. And he's like, you still don't believe me? So he wrote it all up, and he put the big, like, fancy letters at the top, and it's like, right to steal, Larkin Rose, and he has all these fancy signatures on it. And he's like, now why can't I steal from you? You see, I have it plainly written on the paper here. I made it 10 times longer and confusing to follow, but basically I have the right to steal from you. That's the Constitution.
Right. That's all it is.
Right.
My Constitution.
Right.
That's another big joke. People talk about the NAP, the MUH, my Constitution, my roads, my laws.
The common arguments you'll hear.
Yeah, that's the common law. If you think like us and you get into discussions with people, but my roads, but my Constitution.
One guy actually said to me, I would be a libertarian, but I like roads.
Yeah, it's completely.
And the reason that's funny, because libertarians, true libertarians, not your Rand Paul libertarians, but your true libertarians.
Rand Paul's not a libertarian.
Oh yeah, he's actually running as a Republican, isn't he?
But philosophically, he's not a libertarian.
But people say, well, if you don't believe in taxes, then how can we have roads? The thing is, a private company built those roads. A private company paid those roads, and the only difference is the government took money from you to pay them.
Right.
So the government is in the road building process. The government doesn't build the roads. The government doesn't pay for the roads because you did.
Right.
They're a middleman for how it's paid for. Is all they really are.
Yeah.
And you could a community could totally hire a company to build a road for them.
There's such a miracle of engineering that there's no possible way a private firm could figure out how to do it.
Right.
And figure out how to pay for it. I mean, I don't want to get too far on that tangent.
It's the flattest thing ever created.
It could be paid for with advertising. It doesn't even have to be paid for by tolls.
Yeah.
You could have advertising. Anyway. So
it's a whole different story.
Yeah, that's a whole other tangent.
We should have a whole show on roads.
Roads and the children.
The innovation of roads that we could maybe have had by now would be a great topic. You had an idea. You had a great point maybe 2 weeks ago. We were standing outside talking, and we were talking about speeding versus reckless driving. And we were talking about how speeding on the interstate isn't that big of a deal, but going 120 down,
surface roads, they call them.
Or a service road, but doing 90 or 100
surface.
So
they call it, a lot of people refer to your roads within the community surface roads.
But it would be much more dangerous in a small community or a city because you have pedestrians walking on the sidewalk. And your point, I remember, was why are people walking on the sidewalk? Why do we put the sidewalk right beside the road?
Right.
Why don't we have a better system?
Because it's the state. They don't have to have a better system.
Right.
They just penalize you whenever you exploit the weaknesses of the system that they created.
They don't have to build something that's actually effective because they can just write laws to change behavior.
Well, to try
attempt
to change
to.
Yeah.
Right. All right, guys. You're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
hardest working man in radio.
Hardest working man. I'm the hardest working man in radio.
Kevin Cohen is doing mornings and afternoons on The Point.
Avoid bankruptcy. Does credit card debt have you living paycheck to paycheck? Are you making minimum payments but only falling further behind? Then here's good news you'll love. Call the Mediator Law Group to find out more about our debt reduction program. Guaranteed to settle your credit card debt or you don't pay. That's right. We'll find the absolute best debt reduction solution for you or you pay nothing. It's called Pay for Performance, and you won't pay a dime until the job's done. That's right. No upfront fee, no monthly fees, nada. You pay nothing until after your account is settled. No other law firm does that. I'm a paid spokesperson, not a lawyer, and every case is different. But if you owe $10,000, $30,000, or even $50,000 in credit card debt, call the Mediator Law Group to learn about our new Pay for Performance program. Appointment times are limited, so call 800-822-5020 and find the relief from credit card debt that you so desperately need with the full weight of our law group behind you. 800-822-5020. 800-822-5020.
If you or someone you love suffers from drug addiction, now is the time to utilize your private health insurance PPO plan. If eligible, receive up to $30,000 or more in substance abuse benefits with low or no out-of-pocket cost. We are the National Treatment Network, the premier drug and alcohol treatment referral service operating 24/7. We help connect you with facilities nationwide that accepts PPO private health insurance for substance abuse. If you have PPO substance abuse coverage and you need immediate admittance to a medical detox or residential rehab treatment center, call us now. Call our live referral helpline today. The call is free. This program is not available to Medicare or Medicaid customers.
Call 877-247-1584. 877-247-1584. 877-247-1584. That's 877-247-1584.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. It's like tiny nails in the air poke my lungs. I start to cough. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital.
Today, 1 out of 13 children suffer from some form of asthma, accounting for nearly 1/3 of all emergency room visits.
I feel like I'm choking. It's kind of like an elephant is on my chest. A little whistle sound comes out when I breathe.
But while your child may suffer from asthma doesn't have to make your child suffer. There are simple ways you can prevent your child's next attack. To learn more, log on to www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many.
I feel like a fish with no water.
Brought to you by the EPA, the Ad Council, and this station.
Columbia's local talk radio experience. This is The Point. 95.9 FM and 1470 AM.
And we're back. All right, guys, you're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point. As I'm adjusting my microphone, you're listening on 95.9 FM, 1470 AM, maybe MakeThePointRadio.com, maybe even the TuneIn app on your Android or iPhone phone. Is that how they say it? The number, if you want to call in, is 803-799-TALK. It's iPhone phone.
No, it's just iPhone.
It's a phone. It's an iPhone phone.
Really?
I'm kidding. The number, if you guys want to call in, is 803-799-TALK. That's 803-799-8255 for the layman. I'm getting all messed up now.
That's so. We need to bring it kind of back because I feel like we've gotten.
We pulled a Tazima tonight. We've gone all over the place. Yeah.
All over the spectrum.
Right.
So we need to bring it back around to the Jade Helm and the use of the military in our streets. And I think we have a.
Yeah, before we jump back into that, we got a caller on the line. We're going to go to Jimmy. How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing okay.
What you want to talk about?
I wonder why you're talking bad about Jesse Helms.
Who?
Helms. You talking about Helms?
Oh, I just realized who this is. Hey, Chris.
Oh. This is our other host.
I thought we had another caller like last time. I just called to listen.
Yeah.
What's up, Chris? You been listening?
Oh, I couldn't hold it. Sorry.
Chris, how's it going?
I was going to give you a hard time, but I just am not good at fake phone calls. Okay.
I was trying to figure out. When we mentioned Jesse Helms or something about Jesse Helms.
Well, you had that Helm thing going. I mean, what do you call it? Jade Helm.
Jade Helm.
Jane.
Yeah,
Helm.
I was trying to get it. Yeah, there you go.
Now, we were talking about his wife, Jane Helm.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to tell you guys I got a cooler full of Cuban pork and Cuban sandwiches, and you're putting them up there tomorrow for you.
Oh, cool.
All
Thanks,
right.
man.
So, for all the listening audience, Chris was born and raised in Florida, so he's a Cuban food snob. All of the food that's up here that they call a Cuban sandwich and all, he doesn't believe it's actual Cuban. It's not. Well, it's not actually. So.
Yeah, we actually went out to eat with Chris, and he ordered a Cuban. And being from Florida, you shouldn't order a Cuban in South Carolina, I guess.
Well, he ordered it and said, "This is just not going to be any good."
And he ordered it anyways.
Why did you order it?
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to give it a shot, and hopefully they can pull it off. But Kevin missed out, and he missed out on all that good stuff with the whole no pork stuff.
All right.
I
thought if you order a Cuban, you probably get arrested or something.
Yeah.
Order,
Yeah, how are those
like ordering
legal?
a black Russian.
Yeah.
You know? These days, you can't even say that without being accused of being a racist. Can I have a black Russian? Oh, my God, you racist.
Yeah. That's like saying that just disappeared into the black hole. That's racist.
I'll have to bring him back one, maybe some kind of chicken Cuban or something. I never heard of that, but maybe they can make one. Anyway. All right. Well, I'll be leaving in the morning, so
all right.
I'll stop by and bring you guys some sandwiches.
Well, thanks, Chris.
Thanks for calling us.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
How nice of Chris. He's going to bring us some sandwiches.
Yes, he's going to bring. Yes, they're going to be soggy and stale by the time he gets up here. But that's all right.
They're going to be like illegal smuggled bootleg Cubans from Florida.
Cigars? I'll take a couple of those.
No, the sandwiches.
Oh, the sandwiches.
Right.
I was hoping he was going to smuggle some cigars up with us across the border.
What's the deal with the embargo? Let's not get too off topic.
All right.
Sorry. Anyways,
Jade Helm. So, bringing it back around here. It's an unprecedented occurrence for it to be going on our soil, and whether it is for more sinister purposes or it's just for conditioning, it just should not be happening. It's not something that should be going on civilians. So there's been occurrences in the recent past, where they actually send the military knocking on doors, door to door, to simulate engagement with. Supposedly engagement with people overseas, or whatever. They're simulating certain policing actions overseas. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why anybody would find it acceptable. It doesn't matter if you support the military, if you're against the military. That shouldn't matter. The military should be for defense, and the only time they should be doing anything on civilian soil within the confines of the American polygon is if they are. If there's somebody invading us here.
Right. Well, hold that thought. We're going to go to Nicole. Nicole, you're on The Principal.
Hey, this is sort of with what you guys are talking about mass military being on the streets, and it's not as severe here, but I just noticed in the past couple of months a lot of military vehicles just being on the street. I live near Fort Jackson, so I'll just go to Walmart or something. One time I went to Walmart and there was at least 20 military vehicles just kind of riding around. They were just kind of riding around. I don't know what they were doing. And I've been seeing a lot of helicopters in the skies recently. And I was even I don't remember where I was. I was really far away from Fort Jackson. I saw some, and it's just really alarming. And then I hear about this, and I don't know if it's related or.
So, Nicole, have you heard anything in the news or read anything about the whole Operation Jade Helm?
Yes, I have a little bit, not extensively, but.
Okay, so I'll tell you, I grew up in Florence, South Carolina, and my proximity to Myrtle Beach Air Force Base when it was still open, I routinely saw A-10 Warthogs overhead. the tank fighter airplanes. So while it's not, I don't care for that, but it's not unusual with the plethora of military bases we have in South Carolina. But when you start seeing it as a routine, it is, to me, it is alarming, and it's a sign of things shifting in a direction that they shouldn't shift in. So, I mean, I agree with you. Like I said, while it's not completely unusual to see aircraft overhead, if I see low-flying military aircraft, low-flying especially, that to me is more alarming, and I don't think that should be going on. But I agree with you 110%. I think we're just being conditioned to accept a military presence among us that I don't think should happen. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, even if you want to say anything about it, the general public is so conditioned to be pro-military. Even like younger people, their parents just feed it to them like, we must support our troops and God bless the troops. And not to disrespect them or anything, but it's just so evident that we're all being force-fed to just not worship them, but just praise everything the military does and not question it whatsoever.
Yeah, that's what it really is. Not so much to worship, but to never ever criticize anything the military does.
I agree with you, and I think that a free society is a society that is willing to and routinely does criticize the actions of the state. And it doesn't matter who the state's agents are, if they're military, if they're police, if they're judges, if they're district attorneys, if they're politicians. It doesn't matter. You cannot be free if you do not scrutinize and criticize the actions of the state on a regular basis. And if there's any agent or any group that represents the state that is off limits for criticism, then that is a cause for extreme alarm, and that's the group you need to be criticizing more, is the way I look at it. So, thanks for calling.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, next on the line we have Jonathan. Jonathan, you're on the air.
Good afternoon. Good evening, gentlemen. I wanted to take issue with something you said last hour about the National Guard not being a branch of the military. That pretty much goes, at least said there were 4 branches of the military. Well, therein, the Marine Corps is actually not a branch of the military. There's 4 branches of the military, and the Marine Corps doesn't follow under it. So I would say that the National Guard is very much so a branch of the military, just like the Marine Corps is. But the Marine Corps is actually a branch of the Department of the Navy, if you will.
Right, yeah, Marine Corps. So, which, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, so if that's correct, then so be it.
Yeah, there are 4 branches of the military. It's the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Coast Guard.
Okay.
And you can ask any of your Marine friends, but as far as like the training and everything like that, that's just as much as having the military on the street as not. And like the last caller was talking a few minutes ago, there was just recently an RTEP down at McIntyre. So you had the Rangers were jumping in, and they were using all kind of different forces to do that. But as far as bringing them on the streets and everything, I agree that they're conditioning us for something down the road, and whatever it comes to, it's going to be scary.
Except for who was the and I've heard that this was even a misquote, but the Japanese emperor that said he would never dare invade the mainland USA because there'd be a gun behind every blade of grass. So if that
not for much longer.
Well, yeah, they're trying to take those out of our hands, but if that was the case, if I would not automatically assume that if the military was turned against us, that it would just be devastating for the American people. I mean, the world's most powerful military in 1776 was turned against the colonists, and look what happened to that world's most powerful military.
No, I agree. It's just amazing now what they can get away with and all that. But I want to throw one more quick subject I'd like to hear, and then I'm going to hang up, and I want to hear you all discuss it.
Sure. Yeah.
How come it costs so much for politicians to get voted in office? I mean, how many millions of dollars are they spending on this president thing that's still a year and a half out? And it's like, if it was a corporation, it would be in the Forbes 500 or better.
Okay, I think we've got pretty strong opinion on that. So thanks for giving us a call, Jonathan.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good night.
Yes, sir. Good night. So if Jonathan's correct, if the National Guard is actually branch of the military, or quasi branch of the military, whatever it is, then that just makes the actions that they perform
that means
even more.
It's not only weird, but also it's against
illegal.
The government is breaking its own law again.
Right. The laws don't apply.
So I guess we're going to talk about maybe a little about campaign finance when we come back. You're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point. Stay tuned.
Columbia's local talk radio experience. The Point. 95.9 FM. 1470 AM. 1490 AM Orangeburg.
The FBI says it's arrested multiple people in Minneapolis and San Diego as part of a nationwide crackdown on terrorism. Federal authorities have been trying to zero in on people inside the U.S. who have been recruiting Americans to join ISIS overseas. It's been 20 years since the bombing of the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. Today, the community came together to remember the 168 people who were killed that day.
To the families, I will never forget. I will always love you. I will always respect. And my heart will be bleeding for you all the time.
Ron Norick, the mayor of Oklahoma City at the time. The mayor of Baltimore and the city's police commissioner are promising a thorough investigation into the death of a man who was injured while in police custody. Another big week for Furious 7. It topped the box office for the third week in a row, earning more than $29 million. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you can donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-779-6203. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. Call 1-800-779-6203. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now. 1-800-779-6203. That's 1-800-779-6203.
Blue is my favorite color. What's yours? What's yours? Red is my favorite color. What's yours? What's yours?
Well, yeller's sweller for this little feller.
And me, I'm keen on green. So what's your favorite color? Tell us, please.
Kids will spend 20 minutes listening to songs like this.
What's your favorite color? Tell us, please. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite?
How about 2 minutes to brush their teeth? Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. 2 minutes twice a day. They have the time. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives and the Ad Council.
So, Jacqueline.
Yes, Mom?
I wanted to talk to you about something, and... Oh, wait. Hold on. I just got a text.
Oh, wait, Mom. I just got a message. So many comments on my comment.
Hey, guys, check out my new video game.
Mom, what? Huh? What'd you say?
This weekend, unplug. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
All right, guys, we're back. You're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM, or MakeThePointRadio.com, or on the TuneIn app on your Android or iPhone phone. The number, if you want to call in, is 803-799-8255, 799-TALK. I was just checking Facebook, and it looks like we have a lot of new listeners tonight.
Your Android phone or your iPhone phone?
Android and iPhone phone, yes.
Yeah, that sounds... I can't think of a radio friendly word to use.
Redundant.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, so caller Jonathan was wanting to know our thoughts.
Yeah,
on
campaign
Why does
financing.
it cost so much to? Well, so because you don't run for election, you buy elections.
Right.
Now. I mean, it doesn't. I mean,
I think we're supposed to believe that all of that money for campaign financing goes to advertisement. That's it. Like, it's all for your little 30-second spot or whatever.
So here's the other thing to consider is that when you live in a nation that has an extremely large amount of power and the state now is so powerful that they can make or break individuals, corporations, on a whim. They can completely destroy an industry. Mm-hmm. They go after, if they really wanted to, they could destroy the coal industry, just as an example. And they've made a big dent in it already. Mm-hmm. So what you end up with is a situation where people garner favoritism with politicians through donations, through donating to their election campaigns, because that's how it's just buying protection. It's like the mafia system of paying for protection. And so your hope is that the guy that you finance will end up in office and then protect your industry or your business or yourself or whatever. So you end up in a situation where it's the way the system works is through putting money into it. Well, naturally, you're going to have people that spend exorbitant amounts of money whenever they're running for office because they've got so much coming in. The other thing is that my personal opinion is that our society has been drastically dumbed down through public schooling and through propaganda, Hegelian dialectic, and just the controlling of the way the masses think through propaganda, through the state-run schools and whatnot. So you have a situation where just flatly name recognition works. It gets you elected.
Yeah.
So you just need to spend enough money to get your name out there. And that breeds a situation where, hey, let's just spend a lot of money. Let's run a lot of run a lot of ads. Let's get our name out there. Let's spend this money that's coming in. I mean, about 91% of the time, the presidential candidate with the most money is the one that wins.
Yeah.
So
that's probably just a coincidence, though.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just a coincidence. So that you end up with a situation, you end up with a system that works based on the amount of money that's spent. There's a whole other element to this. There's a whole other element. I believe we've got a caller. Let's
jump back to the lines. We have David. David, you're on the air.
Hi, Cam, Corey. How you guys doing tonight?
What's up, man? How you doing?
How are you?
All right, thank you. Hey, I wanted to bring up something about freedom. The contradiction that I see in our country, I'm sure you see it too. We often brag about how free we are, a lot of us do. And then at the same time, we beg the government and the agents to take our freedoms away. And in particular, we ask them to take freedom away from others. It's like I saw a video today on Facebook where there was a group. They were protesting. I don't know what they were protesting, but part of their protest was to trample on the flag. And then there was this Air Force vet, which I'm also an Air Force vet, that actually came and took those people's flag and basically said they didn't have the right to do that.
It was in Valdosta, Georgia.
Okay, but the Supreme Court says, yes, they can do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what do we really want? You know? Do we want us as an individual to be free and our neighbors to not be free? What is it?
I think that that's what a lot of people want. I think that the average individual just wants to be free and wants to do what they want to do. But
then the media steps in and they tell you that, hey, your neighbor is trying to take away your rights, so you better take away theirs first.
Sometimes, but I also think it's just a function of they see, I want to do what I want to do as long as I'm not hurting anybody, just leave me alone. But look at that guy across the street. He's putting things on his lawn that I don't like. He's doing, and that just, I don't like that. That's not something I would do. So I don't want him to do that. So let's figure out a way to stop him. But with that situation,
I want to be free to do what I want to do, and everyone else should have to do the exact same thing.
So I think that if the military turned against us, I think we would be in trouble, because there are a lot of people that would support that. I mean, you cannot protest anything military.
Do you know? So, let me say this, David, and then we'll go back to the Valdosta, Georgia flag thing incident. But do you know about the Battle of Kings Mountain? David?
I may not know about that.
So
help me.
Just a real quick kind of synopsis. The Battle of Kings Mountain happened here in South Carolina. The British troops, were occupying Kings Mountain. A lot of basically Scotch-Irish, Appalachian people, hunters and whatnot, they came flooding down, and they decimated the British military at Kings Mountain. And the whole reason that they did that was because the British military was especially brutal. They were posting bills, they called them bills, they were posting notices all around that said, if you are part of this rebellion, we'll hunt you down, we'll kill you, we'll kill your family, we'll burn your home, we'll, whatever. And the British military in essence overreacted, and that it incited people to come from all around and say no, and they got their rear ends handed to them at Kings Mountain. So you may be right. It may be, but one misstep, one overreaction on the part of an occupying military force, whether it be U.S. military or even Chinese military, it doesn't matter. One misstep, one overreaction, and people are seeing troops on their streets, and one overreaction by that the word gets spread. I think that you're going to see a lot of people that won't stand for it. You'll see another Kings Mountain if that were to happen. So,
I would hope that would be the case. But I mean, in paying attention to what I'm seeing today is like it's.
Yes.
No.
Now, the Valdosta, Georgia thing. The most controversial speech is the speech that most needs to be protected. If there is freedom of speech, then the most controversial speech is the very speech that needs to be most protected. So doesn't matter if you like someone burning or trampling the flag, doesn't matter if you like so I know that the group that was there that was trampling the flag or whatever, or stepping on the flag, I think it was a protest. It was a group of black individuals that were protesting something. So some people, what I read is that some people were saying, well, that was a racist. They were being racist.
Yeah,
for
the video
protesting.
didn't make it very clear, but it was obviously some sort of racial.
I read some story about it. Supposedly it was a racial thing. You know what? That's the speech that most needs to be protected. Mm-hmm. You should have the right to. I'm a white man. You should have the right to speak out and hate me. That's your choice. It's as long as you don't harm me, as long as you don't harm my family. You
right.
Say whatever you want to say.
And the flag that they were.
You got to carry that burden.
Yeah, and the flag they were stepping on was the part that bothered me about the video was they went out and bought a flag. Probably a Chinese-made flag. It was probably made in China, and and they were stepping on it, wiping their feet on it, and really, trampling it. But it was their flag, and that's what they have the right to do. And then this lady comes up and steals the flag. She literally grabs it from them and tries to walk off with it. So of course they call the cops because this is theft now,
right?
Which isn't okay,
right?
And then
it's the non-aggression principle again.
Exactly. And then the police show up and they're. At first, I'm not going to give you a step-by-step.
If she'd have been black, she'd have been shot.
Yeah, it's not funny, but it's true.
Yeah.
I believe that.
And the police try to wrestle this flag back from her and give it back to its rightful owner, and she's fighting with them. They have her on the ground, and they're trying to get it. It takes 4 cops to get out of her hands. But it just and the woman the whole time is baffled. Why are they stopping me from doing this? This is what I have to do. But she's stealing. Right. She's stealing someone's property, and she's justifying it and giving a speech.
The flag is communal property.
Yeah, she said the flag belongs to every member of this country, and so why didn't it belong to them? How come she gets to take it away?
Right.
And that's not my flag. I have my flag right here. My flag right here, right next to me. That's not my flag.
Yeah, if you disagree with flag burning, don't burn your flag.
Thanks, David.
Thanks for the call, David.
Break.
All right, guys, we're going to be right back after this break. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point.
You wanted more local, you get more local. That's because we can't afford a network affiliate. Kevin Cohen does mornings and afternoons on The Point.
Since 1989, The Office Place has been the Midland's premier destination for new and pre-owned office furniture. The Office Place is a full-service dealership, providing layout, design, installation, and service after the sale. So, if you're in the market for office furniture, look them up at officeplace.net, give them a call at 803-799-3375, or head over to 301C Greystone Boulevard here in Columbia, South Carolina.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you can donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-779-6203. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. Call 1-800-779-6203. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now. 1-800-779-6203. That's 1-800-779-6203.
Confessions of a Potentially Perfect Parent, brought to you by AdoptUsKids.org.
I might look like an adult, like a person who could possibly be a parent, but I have no idea how to talk like one. And everyone knows that if you want to be a parent, you have to sound good when you say things like, "Don't make me turn this car around," or "because I said so," or "Don't make me come back there." I don't even really know what those things mean, but I know that I actually believed my parents when they said them to me. How did they manage to sound so convincing? Here we go. "Don't make me come back there." Oh, no, that's not tough enough at all. Kids can sense weakness. "Don't make me come back there." Ooh, yeah, that's better. In fact, that kind of sounded like my dad. Weird.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to listen to you practice your dad voice. Call 1-888-200-4005 or visit AdoptUsKids.org for more information. This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
120 feet of rope that takes you from a hovering chopper to the ground below in 7.5 seconds. The Army National Guard is your team. You face the tough challenges together and succeed because your team is there to push you toward your goal. Join our team on the web at 1-800-GO-GUARD.com or call 1-800-GO-GUARD. In the Army National Guard, you can!
Sponsored by the South Carolina National Guard, aired by the South Carolina Broadcasters Association and this station.
Columbia's local talk radio experience. This is The Point. 95.9
Shut up and sit down.
1470 AM.
And we're back. This is the last segment of our show, guys. You're listening to The Principle on 95.9 The Point. If you want to make a call, do it quick. 803-799-8255. We got about, 12 to 15 minutes here before we wrap up?
So you better hurry up.
It sounded like our intro song was telling our intro announcer to shut up. Did you hear that?
No.
It was
I wasn't
kind of
listening.
funny. They were overlapping.
I was looking at my iPhone phone.
So, I guess Jade Helm and the problem?
Yeah, we kind of got off on some tangents.
Yeah.
And what were we talking with David? We were talking about the Valdosta, Georgia incident with the flag trampling, and I don't think it can be
taking rights from your neighbor.
Yeah, taking rights from your neighbor. You know, everybody wants to do what they want to do, but they don't want their neighbor to do what their neighbor wants to do. Right. And that's part of freedom is tolerating some of that type of thing. If you don't like it, then use private agreements to get around it. You know, communities with HOAs and whatnot. I don't care for HOAs, and I live in a community that doesn't have one on purpose. But if that's what you're worried about. I just feel like our society so many people want to do what they want to do, but they don't want their neighbor to do what they want to do.
Right.
And I think that needs to change. That mindset needs to change, and you need to respect the rights of others and property rights. So I think that the only just way that a society can exist is if it's based around a respect for private property rights.
Mm-hmm.
And our society is no longer based around that.
It's more about justifying the theft of private property, whether it be gun confiscation or
private or property tax,
a private asset seizure.
So here's the thing: I said this to someone recently. If you listen to mainstream media, everyone debates about whether or not they should raise taxes or how much they should raise them.
Right.
No one says we shouldn't have taxes. They should figure out a way to do it otherwise, or they should lower taxes. No one really, I mean, some people will say, well, we should lower taxes, but no one really...
Does it happen?
Right, yeah. Because it's the Hegelian dialectic we've talked about on the show before, where if you can control both...
Yeah, they want to raise taxes 5 cents. So they have one guy saying, I want to raise taxes a penny. And the other guy says, I want to raise it 10 cents. And everybody starts saying, all right, let's meet in the middle, 5 cents.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But there's not a vocal opposition to the whole concept of taxation,
right.
Much less vocal opposition to, vocal, support for lowering taxes.
Uh-huh.
Everybody assumes that the only way they can do more is to steal more. Well, and then they call it a civilized society, a society that's built on theft and threat of violence, constant threat of violence.
Well, yeah, if you use just the right amount of theft and violence,
then it's
against your own citizens. Yeah, that's the only way to have a peaceful society.
So if you only do your military actions in 6 states, right, instead of 50,
right,
then that means you're free.
Mm-hmm.
That means you're not occupied. That means the military's not being used against you.
Right. You're not being occupied by a military if it's
only 6 states.
Right.
It's completely
devoid
of logic. There's not even a slippery slope. It's just illogical. I mean, there's not even a slippery slope there. There's just a cliff.
Yeah.
Either you're occupied or you're not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So, and I mean, to be fair, I have some issues with the whole concept of the union itself. I mean, I don't have a whole lot in common with people in a lot of areas of the country anymore, and I don't know why I should be forced to follow the laws that they want to follow just because the electoral college is swayed in their direction or they have more representatives, or that's not just either. So I could say, well, it's happening in California. It doesn't affect me, and heck with it, and you can, if that's the way you want to look at it. But I think that it speaks to a bigger problem, and it's actually happening across the country in a lot more places. This is just one exercise that's happening across 6 states. There have been a lot more individual exercises that happen. There's been one happened here in South Carolina. I can't remember when it was. I'm drawing a blank on it, but there was a big training exercise that happened here, and I don't remember if it was in. It was down around Florence.
Like a month or two ago, right?
Yeah, around Florence.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So it's not just this one operation encompasses 6 states, but they've been doing this across the country, and this is pretty unprecedented. I mean, look at the amount of wars that have been fought that didn't require this level of training in civilian soil. So it's something that you should be concerned about, and it's something that if you are in the military, or if you know someone who's in the military and they don't think there's anything wrong with it, you need to be explaining why there is something wrong with it, because there is something big wrong with it. I mean, not to mention it's potentially in violation of the government's, the state's own laws, but the Posse Comitatus Act. But
again, that does not matter.
Yeah. Listen, that's another. I don't want to get on another tangent. We're going to be wrapping up here shortly. But
basically, if you think branches of government grant themselves whatever power they want to, and if they break the law, they say, we interpret it to mean this.
Right.
So it really does not matter. It really doesn't matter what's legal and what's not when you're the government doing it.
That's one of the problems I have with constitutionalists, is they actually think it's relevant. Number one. Number two, they actually think that, well, if we just did this, then people would follow, the state would follow the Constitution. The people. Here's the thing about the Constitution. Either it has enabled everything we have, or it has been a complete failure at stopping it.
Right.
So the way I look at it is it's a problem, period. And if you rely only on
basically,
the Constitution,
you say, well, that's unconstitutional, and the Supreme Court says, so what?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, come on. I can read. I know that forcing someone to purchase something is not constitutional.
Right.
Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, you can argue all day, well, force them to buy health insurance versus force them to buy this. That's not constitutional. But as long as, you know, a couple of cross-dressing men in dresses and, you know, a woman in her dress on an elevated platform in a marble building says it is, well, then it must be.
Right.
And then that's the thing that's so disturbing to me is that people go, well,
yeah,
the Supreme Court says.
Yeah, I guess it's okay now.
Yeah, because those they're not human beings; they're gods.
Right.
You know, if you put on a dress.
Well, demigods, they're still human.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just insanity to me. So people who are diehard constitutionalists, good luck, because they don't follow it. Now, you could put any document in place.
See, to put it simply, the Constitution hasn't stopped what the situation we have here. So I don't think, and I think Corey agrees too, that I don't see the benefit of going back to the same Constitution if it can just happen all over again. You know,
I don't know what the actual answer is, but I'm not convinced that a constitution is the answer. I mean, that's
right.
Putting stuff down on paper that people just ignore.
Right.
I mean,
once you say that certain people can rob and assault you and intrude into your home, then you're going to be constantly having to play with the level of robbing and intrusion and assault.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people accept the violence of the state because it's the state committing the violence.
Right.
And I think
if we saw this much widespread home intrusion and traffic congestion and theft from any other entity, we would say, wow, we have a serious problem in this country. This gang of thieves is going to every house, stopping every car.
We're coming up on the break, so let me see if I can get this in real quick. This is an example I use all the time. Do you know how many people are furious whenever the lines are too long at Walmart? Mm-hmm. And people go up to managers, you need to open up more registers and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to shop here anymore, whatever. Not even just Walmart, anywhere. But then if you have a discussion about how the traffic is backed up and it shouldn't be, they shrug their shoulders. Well, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Why? Isn't that a failure of the system? Isn't that, I mean, cops and firefighters, there's no incentive for them to keep the traffic flowing. They aren't going to be penalized if it doesn't flow. There's no incentive for them to get but somebody can be injured. More the reason to get them out extricated, get them care, and get them out of the road quicker.
Yeah.
You know? So it's people make excuses for the state, and they accept the violence of the state. They accept the failure of the state because that's just the way it's always been done. We don't know what else we're going to do.
And they're paying for it the whole time.
Yes, but they don't accept the same types of scenarios when it comes to private business.
Right.
You got to stop thinking that way.
Yeah.
You shouldn't accept the failure of the state. You shouldn't accept the violence of the state, and you shouldn't make excuses for it. And you sure as heck shouldn't be heralding it by worshiping the state with your false idols and your flags and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, that wraps it up, guys. This was The Principle on 95.9 The Point. Tune in next Sunday at 8 p.m.
Working harder so you don't have to. That's great. Here comes the C&D from Johnson & Johnson. Kevin Cohen, mornings and afternoons on The Point.
What's your IRS problem? Do you owe back taxes? Is there a lien placed on your property? Have your bank accounts been frozen or seized? Have your wages been garnished? Are you being audited by the IRS? Are they sending you letters that demand actions and have urgent due dates? Well, solving your tax problems is as easy as calling Taxes 321. The IRS is the largest collection agency in the world. You need the best representation to give you peace of mind. You need experienced professionals that can cut through the red tape and stop the collection process. If you have a serious problem with the IRS, call the Taxes 321 network today. We'll get them off your back.
800-511-3026, 800-511-3026, 800-511-3026, 800-511-3026.
WQXL Philadelphia, W240 AM, WTQS Canberra, Columbia's local talk radio experience. The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM.